Hello, and welcome to the W.A.I.T channel. What Am I Thinking? A podcast where two sisters share uplifting conversations on fun and sometimes serious topics.
Join us each week by clicking the notification bell and subscribing to our channel. If you enjoy the show, use the share link. It's one of the best ways to expand the conversation.
Welcome to the W.A.I.T channel. What am I thinking? Well, today we are thinking about the way certain terms, ideas, and things are taken totally out of context and how individuals run with it and make it a whole agenda. The term that is coming to the forefront for me today, Lori, is woke. And if another person wants to try to take the term woke and make it into a campaign speech or part of their reasoning for existing to get rid of this woke mindset, it's just sad to me. And it rings true to the same way they took critical race theory and made it into something that it was never intended to be. What are you thinking?
I think that the attacks that are coming against this term is literally the definition of gaslighting. It's like they have this list of things that are archaic, and you and I both have had problems with the idea of, let's just go back to the good old days. Let's just go back to when things were simpler. And this idea that bringing back Mayberry or wait till your father gets home, that type of ideology, the fact of the matter is those were television shows, and that the things that were on those television shows were not true representations of what was really going on in American homes. And I think that Ron DeSantis comes to mind when I think about the Stop Woke Act. I mean, to literally create legislation called Stop Woke Act. When you look at the definition of what the word really means, it simply is awareness. That's all it's saying, is to be aware of things. Don't close your eyes to something that is blatantly wrong, something where we know it's an injustice, where we acknowledge that the education or the way in which we once thought we were wrong, we were incorrect, let's make those changes and now correct it. Suddenly, being right is labeled as wrong.
Well, I'm one of those people that I believe extremes on either end of the spectrum are dangerous. Now, when we were in the time of political correctness, which became a horrible thing, there were individuals on, the extreme ends of the left that took it too far, and we recently had a thing where they were, I want to say it was in California, where they were doing all of these renaming of schools. And the board wanted to rename so many schools because of the individuals, if they maybe owned slaves or if this, and I forgot which one they were trying to do, and it kind of backfired a little bit. But it's like, yeah, you can take it too far, but you can't take that one example of going too far and paint that broad brushstroke to say all of it was, wrong. There are some that we should not be uplifting, and regardless of what office they held in the past or what they did, if we find that they were flawed to a degree that society today cannot tolerate, then no, we no longer uphold and uplift that individual in that way. But to say that all of it is going too far is an untruth. And so it just bothers me that we don't know how to counter that in an effective way anymore. What do you say?
I think when we try and trace this back, there has been this mindset in this country where the term middle of the country, and then you have the outer rim of the country, usually those that are along our coastlines. And there has been this divide, not only in the way we live, how things are done in certain geographic locations of the country. It has now permeated not just our day-to-day lives, but politics, religion, education. And one particular word that I grew up knowing and understanding and trying to make it a part of my life is compromise. I think that our ability to compromise, it's like it's bleeding away, and you either have a mindset of the right or you have a mindset of the left. And you've got folks like, I would say, you and I, that we're in the middle. Some of what the right is saying is correct. Some of what the left is saying is correct. We can merge some of the things and we can come up with new ideas. And then also we can agree to disagree. Somewhere along the line, that has been lost. And we have become this society of labeling things. And we make a word so strong that it's supposed to define a platform. No, the word woke is not your platform. It's a word that they take and it has power now. They've given just this 4-letter word power.
They weaponize
it. Yes, that's what I'm saying. They have weaponized it. So now you don't even have to justify what you're saying when you're standing at a lectern, you're at a convention, or you're on the campaign trail. Just saying that one word is kind of like the cry to war, the battle cry. Everybody that's there, they understand, they get it. And I think that's dangerous because you need to explain, like pull out the dictionary and say, okay, so what is wokeism? And the vast majority of the time that you ask any type of politician that, they stumble over the phrasing or the definitions don't match up. We need to pull away from weaponizing words.
Yeah, I agree. Now, I probably have a injury in my neck. I was just nodding my head the whole time that we're talking because I agree. And I do believe that you and I are part of that sort of independent thinking group of America where we're not automatically buying into what the left is saying, what the right is saying. There is a true combination, and part of why we can't, that conservative aspect of ourselves doesn't get to really breathe like it used to, is because they've gone so far to the right with this extremism. And I know there are people who identify as Republican that are a little bit appalled at some of the extreme nature, but they can't let go of saying that they are a part of that group because there are some aspects of the left that are pretty distasteful to them. And so they would rather just kind of hold their nose and continue to say they are the big R. And the sad part about the awareness of being woke is that they want to close their eyes to certain aspects of things and want people to not be okay with it. the transgender issue is a big issue for them. They want to try to say they're okay with lesbian, gay, but in reality, we know that they're not loving that either. We know there's zero tolerance for any type of abortion or anything like that. And it's one of those things where they want to say what's okay and what's not okay. And if you don't agree with that, then you're checking the box of being woke.
And I think it's very dangerous when people do things like that, because when we look at this country and they want to say we have Judeo-Christian values, and that's what our country was founded on. Our founding fathers, they were Christians. I mean, well, thank goodness for the History Channel. No, they overwhelmingly were not. And many of the foundations that are part of our laws and our Constitution, they date back to the days of Rome. So when it's like they want to create this ideology based on things that aren't really even true to support what it is that they want to do. I don't like overusing the word agenda, but it feels like an agenda to me. And when you're trying to control, I feel like they're trying to turn us all into these puppets. We have to all think the same way. We have to all, yes, 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 not have any ideas that differ from theirs. Because if my idea is different than theirs, automatically I'm wrong.
Yeah, they want to rewrite history. They want to do revisionists for history, and that's what what is comfortable for them is what they want to live on and pass on. And if it doesn't line up with what it is they want to say happened, then it's wrong. And it's wrong to the part that we're going to not allow you to teach it. So I'm grateful that there are some teacher unions and associations that are fighting back on some of the restrictions and things they put in place. But I think it's one of them, I think I saw one educator say that she's being told that she's indoctrinating her students to be woke. And it's like, oh my goodness, she's educating. She's an educator. We want to use that word indoctrination, but in reality, it's the reverse. They're the ones trying to indoctrinate people to only their mindset and their thinking. And that's what's not fair. There's room for all of us under the tent. And we get to think how we want to think. And, parents should have a say. That was a big thing, parents being able to have a say. So just like you're saying you don't want this taught, well, what about the parent that says, I think that's important that it is taught? So their voice gets squashed because there's not representation on the school board to speak their mindset. So it's just one of those things that's so, you would have thought this wouldn't be a battle. This wouldn't be a fight. But we're in a time where they just want to, as I can't say it enough, they want to paint so many things with a broad brush, and they want to make everything they're doing right and what the other side is doing wrong. And as you said, that word compromise is getting lost in the mix.
I really think that we are in a very, very dangerous time. I think that this period that we're in is it's going to require people not to just bury their head in the sand. There are things that are being done in this country that it just, things that I really feel are illegal. If you were to truly look at, just even in education, if we were to go back to see what why public education came to be. What is public education? If we look at the states or the Supreme Court throwing back women's health, abortion rights back to the states, okay? But now they want to cross over state lines into areas where women's health wholly is legal and demand records, which, by the way, HIPAA is supposed to protect people from things like that. When you see this blatant disregard for individual human rights, something is wrong. And I think that people need to be much, much more aware and alert, not just what's going on in your state. Now we truly do have to start looking at other states, cities, townships, whether it's the Associated Press, wherever you get your news from. Be aware, be awake. And I'm going to use the term, yes, be awake, because there are things that are going on that it's no longer, well, that's that state, or that's not my home state. We're all being impacted by this. We're all being impacted. So you have to be very much aware of these things that are stirring in the country, because yes, there is this new progressive ideology that is being forced upon us, whether we like it or not.
Yeah, so for those who are listening, tune in, chime in, tell us what you think, make a comment. Is wokeism this terrible thing that some want us to believe, or is it just literally being aware and attuned to what's going on and not trying to tell other people how they should live their lives, what's important and what's not important, what's okay and what's not okay? You know, one of the things I always say is different is just different. It is not good or bad. It's just different. And we are a society with a plethora of choices and things. And there's so many things about ourselves as human beings that we don't have control over. But those things that we do have control over, even with that, we get to choose how we want to live it out. And as long as it's not causing harm or forcing our will upon another individual, we've got to learn how to let people be. So are you okay with wokeism being a bad thing? Or do you think we get to be whatever it is? And if it's woke, if it's politically correct, whatever that thing is, as long as it's not harming another person, then let's not infringe upon those rights. Let us know what you think. Tune in to What Am I Thinking, the W.A.I.T channel, for next week as we continue to share what we are thinking. Thank you.
The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are solely ours and should be taken as such. Our thoughts are intended purely for entertainment purposes. Please do not take anything we say as fact or advice. Thank you for listening.